People by Stephen R. Covey. This book has transformed the lives of leaders, students, professionals, and everyday people across the world. But don't worry, this isn't just theory. We'll break it all down using real-life examples, simple explanations, and practical takeaways you can apply starting today. So whether you're stuck in bad habits or just want to level up your thinking, you're in the right place. Let's get started, and remember, true change always begins from the inside out. Part 1, Inside Out. Real change begins within. Imagine this. You switch jobs again. You tell yourself your boss is toxic. Or your team never listens. But everywhere you go, the same problems seem to follow you. Stephen Covey calls this the outside-in mindset. That means we think the problem is out there. We blame others. We blame time. We blame situations. But Covey says that real change starts from the inside out. It begins by changing your mindset, your character, and your habits. He introduces a powerful idea called paradigms. A paradigm is the way you see the world. Like a lens. And if your lens is scratched or broken, then no matter how hard you try, your view of everything is distorted. Example. You believe your co-workers are lazy. So you stop helping them. You pull back. Eventually, they notice. They stop helping you too. Now your belief becomes reality. Not because it was true, but because you acted on that belief. This is the power of your mindset. So before you learn the 7 habits, ask yourself one thing. Am I ready to take responsibility for my own growth? Because that is where real change begins. Part 2, The Private Victory, Habits 1 to 3. Before you can lead others, you must learn to lead yourself. This is what Covey calls the private victory. It includes Habit 1, Habit 2, and Habit 3. These habits help you move from dependence to independence. From blaming others to taking charge of your life. Habit 1, Be proactive. Life throws problems at you. You get stuck in traffic. Plans change. A project fails. Now ask yourself. Do you react with anger and blame, or do you pause and choose your response? Being proactive means you are not a victim. You are not controlled by your circumstances. You have the power to choose your reaction. Real life example. Your friend cancels plans at the last minute. A reactive person gets upset and takes it personally. A proactive person understands, maybe they are tired. So they reschedule and move on. Proactive people focus on what they can control. Covey calls this the circle of influence. You cannot control the weather. But you can carry an umbrella. That is what Habit 1 is about. Taking ownership of your actions, your mood, your energy. You are the driver of your life. Habit 2, Begin with the end in mind. What do you want people to say about you at your funeral? Do you want them to say you were always busy, or do you want to be remembered as someone who was kind, honest, and brave? This habit is about starting with a clear picture of your destination. Real life example. A 20-year-old wants to be a YouTuber. Instead of posting random videos, they ask themselves, what kind of creator do I want to be known as? Because success without meaning is empty. Many people spend their lives climbing the ladder of success. Only to realize the ladder was leaning on the wrong wall. Habit 2 teaches you to define your personal mission. A mission statement acts like a compass. It helps you make decisions that match your true values. When you know your purpose, your actions gain power. Habit 3, Put first things first. You wake up and check your phone. Hours pass. You feel busy, but not productive. This habit teaches you to manage your time. Not by doing more, but by doing what matters most. Covey explains this using the time management matrix. Urgent and important activities are crises. Not urgent but important ones lead to growth. Urgent but not important things are distractions. And not urgent and not important things are time wasters. Real life example. A student has an exam next week. If they are reactive, they wait until the last day and panic. If they are proactive, they study a little every day. Habit 3 is about discipline. Saying no to distractions and yes to long-term goals. Ask yourself each day. Is this important or just urgent? When you follow this habit, you start to trust yourself. And that is real self-respect. Part 3, The Public Victory. Habits 4 to 6. No emojis. No dashes or symbols. Real-life examples. Natural spoken flow for YouTube narration or TDS. Part 3, The Public Victory, Habits 4 to 6. Once you have built personal strength and discipline through the private victory, the next step is to build strong relationships. This is where the public victory begins. Habits 4 to 6 help you become effective in working with others. Covey says that independence is not the highest level of success. Interdependence is. That means learning how to work well with people, in families, in teams, and in society. Let us go through each of these habits. Habit 4, think win-win. In many situations, people are taught to compete. Win or lose. One person must win, and the other must lose. But habit 4 is about looking for solutions where both sides can win. This is called the win-win mindset. It is not about being nice. And it is not about giving in. It is about choosing mutual benefit over one-sided success. Real-life example. Imagine two business partners arguing about how to split profits. One says, I deserve more. The other says, I worked harder. A win-lose mindset creates tension. But a win-win mindset says, let us find a way that is fair to both of us. That builds trust and long-term success. Win-win thinkers believe there is enough success to go around. They focus on cooperation, not competition. They care about results, but also about relationships. If you build a habit of thinking win-win, people will want to work with you, because they know you are fair and respectful. Habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. In most conversations, we listen with the intent to reply, not to understand. Habit 5 changes that. It teaches you to listen deeply. Not just with your ears, but with your eyes and your heart. Real understanding begins when you make the other person feel heard. Real-life example. Your friend is upset. Instead of saying, you are overthinking, or trying to fix it immediately, you say, tell me what happened. I am listening. You do not interrupt. You do not judge. You listen until they feel understood. Only after that do you share your thoughts. Covey calls this empathic listening. It builds trust faster than anything else. When people feel understood, they stop fighting. They open up. Then they are ready to hear your side too. This habit is powerful in relationships, in work, and in everyday life. Habit 6, synergize. Synergy means that two people together can create something better than they could separately. It is not just working together. It is about using differences as strengths. Habit 6 is about valuing differences in opinion, personality, and perspective. Instead of trying to make others think like you, you invite their ideas. Real-life example. A team is working on a school project. One person is good at writing. One is creative with visuals. One loves research. Instead of each person trying to do everything, they divide the work based on their strengths. The result is much better than if they worked alone. That is synergy. Synergy takes patience. It takes respect. But it creates new solutions, better ideas, and stronger teams. When you live habit 6, you do not fear differences. You welcome them. That completes part 3, the public victory. You now have the tools to lead yourself and work powerfully with others. Part 4, renewal, habit 7, sharpen the saw. Simple, clean, and spoken style. No emojis or symbols. Real-life examples included. Part 4, renewal, habit 7, sharpen the saw. You have learned how to lead yourself. You have learned how to work with others. But if you do not take care of yourself, none of it will last. Habit 7 is about renewal. It is about preserving and improving the one asset that affects everything you do yourself. Stephen Covey calls this sharpening the saw. Imagine someone cutting a tree with a blunt saw. They keep pushing harder, sweating more, but the job only gets slower. You say, why not stop and sharpen the saw? They reply, I do not have time. I am too busy cutting. But if they took just a little time to sharpen it, the work would be easier and faster. That is what habit 7 teaches. To pause. To recharge. To grow. Sharpening the saw means renewing yourself in 4 areas. First is the physical dimension. This includes exercise, sleep, healthy eating, and rest. Real-life example. A student stays up every night studying but skips sleep and proper meals. Eventually, they feel tired, angry, and burned out. They try harder but perform worse. Taking care of your body is not selfish. It is smart. Second is the mental dimension. Keep learning. Read books. Practice new skills. Reflect. Real life example. Someone watches only random videos for entertainment. Their brain becomes lazy. But someone who reads 10 pages a day or learns something new sharpens their mind and becomes sharper in life. Third is the emotional and social dimension. This is about relationships and emotional well-being. Spend time with loved ones. Talk to friends. Practice kindness. Learn to forgive. You cannot be effective if you are carrying stress, anger, or loneliness. Strong relationships are fuel for growth. Fourth is the spiritual dimension. This does not mean religion. It means connecting with your deeper purpose. You can do this by meditating, journaling, spending time in nature, or thinking about your values. It is about staying grounded in what really matters to you. When you sharpen the saw regularly, you are not being lazy. You are being wise. It prepares you for the next challenge. It keeps you from breaking down. Habit 7 brings balance. It reminds you that effectiveness is not just about working hard. It is about growing in all areas of life. When you take care of your body, your mind, your heart, and your soul, you become strong from the inside out. And that is the final habit, the one that makes all the others possible. Let's quickly go over what we learned today. The journey begins with an inside-out mindset. You must change yourself before you can influence others. The private victory includes the first 3 habits. Be proactive. Begin with the end in mind. Put first things first. These help you build self-discipline and control over life. The public victory includes habits 4 to 6. Think win-win. Seek first to understand. Synergize. These help you build strong relationships based on trust and cooperation. Finally, habit 7 is about sharpening the saw, renewing yourself so you stay balanced and effective. Mastering these habits is not about being perfect. It is about becoming intentional in how you live, work, and grow. If you found this summary helpful, please like the video and subscribe to Books Arena. We upload detailed summaries of life-changing books in a simple, practical format perfect for learning on the go. Also, tell us in the comments which habit spoke to you the most. And what book should we cover next? Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Welcome to Books Arena, where we break down the world's best books into clear, powerful summaries that anyone can understand. Today's book is called Atomic Habits, written by James Clear. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is an atomic habit? Well, atomic means small like an atom but also powerful. And a habit is something you do regularly, often without thinking. So an atomic habit is a tiny change that seems small at first, but if repeated every day, can transform your entire life. This isn't just another book about motivation or goal setting. It's about systems. It's about how real change happens, not by setting big goals once a year, but by showing up in small ways every single day. James Clear shows that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. In this video, we'll walk through the key ideas of atomic habits using simple examples, daily life stories, and step-by-step explanations. Whether you want to start exercising, read more, wake up earlier, or just become more consistent, this summary will give you a roadmap you can actually use. And the best part? You don't need to overhaul your life. You just need to start small. Stay consistent. And let time do its magic. Let's get started. Part 1, The Power of Tiny Habits. Let's start with a question. What if getting 1% better every day could change your life completely? That's the big idea behind atomic habits, that small improvements, done consistently, lead to massive results over time. James Clear calls it the power of compounding, not just for money, but for your habits, your mindset, your health, your relationships, everything. Tiny changes equals big results. We often think change has to be dramatic. Lose 10 kilos in a month. Write a book in 30 days. Quit social media forever. But that's exactly why we fail. Real, lasting success doesn't come from huge efforts. It comes from tiny changes made consistently over time. Think about this. If you improve by just 1% each day for a year, you'll be 37 times better by the end of the year. That's the power of compound growth. Real life example, the British cycling team. Here's a story James Clear shares that proves this point. For years, British cycling was a disaster. No Olympic medals. No Tour de France wins. Sponsors didn't want to be associated with the team. Then came a new coach, Dave Brailsford, who had a simple strategy. The aggregation of marginal gains. In simple terms, improve everything by just 1%. They didn't try to change everything overnight. They made hundreds of tiny improvements: better bike seats, improved aerodynamics, the way athletes washed their hands, how they slept, how they recovered. And the results? Within a few years, British cyclists won 5 Tour de France titles and over 60 Olympic medals. Not because of one big secret, but because of 100 small wins. The ice cube example. Here's another simple way to understand it. Imagine an ice cube on a table. The room is freezing, say, -5 degrees. You start heating the room, -4, -3, -2, still no change. At 0 degrees, suddenly the ice cube begins to melt. Was it the last degree that caused the change? No. It was the build-up, the small, invisible progress that led to a tipping point. That's how tiny habits work. You might not notice any change at first. But keep going, and one day everything shifts. The problem with big goals. Now here's something surprising. James Clear says goals aren't the main problem, systems are. Goals focus on outcomes. I want to lose 10 kilos. I want to earn more money. I want to be productive. But if your systems, your daily habits don't match that goal, it won't work. Example. Your goal is to run a marathon. But your system is lying on the couch every evening eating snacks. No matter how motivated you are, the system wins. Clear says it clearly. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So don't focus on the result. Focus on the process. Small habits shape your identity. Every small habit is like a vote for the kind of person you want to become. Do one push-up. That's a vote for being fit. Write one sentence. A vote for being a writer. Wake up and read one page. A vote for being a reader. These votes may seem small, but they add up. Eventually, your identity changes not because of a big decision, but because of small daily actions. Summary of Part 1. Big change doesn't happen all at once. Small, consistent actions have a compounding effect. Focus on building systems, not just setting goals. Your identity is shaped by your habits, one small vote at a time. You don't need a dramatic transformation. You just need to show up, every day, with one small action. And that's how you create real, lasting change. Part 2, the habit loop, how habits are formed. If you've ever wondered why you keep repeating certain behaviors, both good and bad, this is the part that explains it. James Clear says that all habits follow a pattern called the habit loop. This loop is made of 4 stages. Cue, rightward arrow; craving, rightward arrow; response, rightward arrow; reward. Let's break it down step by step with real-life examples you'll recognize in your own daily life. 1. Cue, the trigger. The cue is what kicks off the habit. It's a signal your brain uses to begin a behavior. Cues can be a time of day, a place, an emotion, an action, even a person. For example, you walk into your kitchen and see a cookie jar; that's a visual cue. Your phone buzzes; that's a notification cue. You feel stressed; that's an emotional cue. The brain is always scanning for cues because it wants to solve problems with the least effort possible. The cue tells the brain, a reward might be coming. 2. Craving, the motivation. The craving is what makes you act. But here's the twist. You're not craving the habit itself. You're craving the change in state it gives you. You don't want to scroll Instagram. You want distraction or connection. You don't want a cup of coffee. You want energy and focus. You don't want to brush your teeth. You want a clean, fresh feeling. Cravings are the emotional or psychological motivation behind a habit. And they're shaped by your experiences and expectations. 3. Response, the action you take. This is the actual habit behavior, the thing you do. It could be reaching for your phone, going to the gym, drinking water, snacking late at night. But here's something important. You only respond if the cue is clear and the craving is strong. Also, the action must be easy enough to do. For example, if your gym is too far, or your running shoes are hidden under the bed, your response becomes unlikely. So if you want to build better habits, make the response simple and convenient. For reward, the satisfaction. The reward is the reason the habit sticks. It's what your brain gets at the end of the loop and what teaches it to remember the loop next time. Rewards do two things. They satisfy the craving. They teach the brain this is worth repeating. For example, the cookie tastes good, rightward arrow, sugar hit, rightward arrow, feel happy. You check your phone, rightward arrow, see a message, rightward arrow, feel connected. You go for a walk, rightward arrow, feel relaxed, rightward arrow, crave it again. If the reward feels good, your brain says, let's do this again. Over time, your brain begins to crave the cue because it now predicts a reward. This is how habits are formed and strengthened. Example habit loop in daily life. Let's take a real example. Cue, you walk into your living room and see the remote. Craving, you want to relax and escape a long day. Response, you turn on the TV and watch Netflix. Reward, you feel distracted and entertained. Do this enough times, and your brain learns. Living room plus remote equals relief from stress. Now the habit runs on autopilot. How this helps you build better habits. If you understand the habit loop, you can design better habits. Make the cue obvious. Make the craving attractive. Make the response easy. Make the reward satisfying. Here's an example with a healthy habit like drinking water in the morning. Leave a bottle on your nightstand, cue is obvious. Imagine how energized and clear your body will feel, craving. Just reach over and drink it, no extra steps, easy response. Feel fresh and accomplished right after, reward. If you repeat this loop every morning, it becomes automatic. Breaking bad habits. You can also break bad habits by reversing the loop. Make the cue invisible. Rightward arrow, hide junk food, turn off notifications. Make the craving unattractive. Rightward arrow, remind yourself of the negative effects. Make the response difficult. Rightward arrow, add steps between you and the habit. Make the reward unsatisfying. Rightward arrow, use accountability or loss, example lose money if you give in. Example. If you want to stop late night scrolling, leave your phone in another room. Charge it far from the bed. Keep a book on your pillow instead. You're disrupting the habit loop, and that's how change begins. Final thoughts on part 2. The habit loop is like a script your brain runs again and again. It explains why habits feel automatic, and how you can rewrite them. So next time you repeat a behavior without thinking, pause and ask. What triggered me? What did I really want? How can I change the cue or response next time? Understanding the loop is the first step toward controlling it. Part 3, Identity-based habits, how to become the type of person you want to be. What's the secret to building habits that last? It's not motivation. It's not willpower. It's not even setting clear goals. According to James Clear, the real key is to focus on your identity. In simple words, don't just try to change what you do. Change who you believe you are. The 3 layers of behavior change. Let's start with a simple idea from the book. There are 3 levels at which change can happen. Outcomes, these are the results you want: lose weight, write a book, learn a new language. Processes, these are the systems or habits you use to reach those goals: running 3 times a week, writing 500 words daily, studying for 20 minutes. Identity, this is what you believe about yourself: I'm healthy. I'm a writer. I'm a disciplined person. Most people focus on outcomes. I want to lose 5 kilos. Or on processes. I'll follow this workout plan. But the most effective, long-lasting change happens when you shift your identity. Behavior follows belief. Think about it. If your goal is to run a marathon, you might train for months, finish the race, and then stop running. But if you build the identity of a runner, then running becomes part of your lifestyle, not just something you do for a result. When you believe I'm a runner, then going for a jog isn't a chore. It's something you do because it's who you are. James Clear puts it this way. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. When you read a page, you vote for being a reader. When you practice coding, you vote for being a programmer. When you save money, you vote for being financially responsible. No single action will change your identity overnight. But over time, the more votes you cast, the stronger your identity becomes. Real life example. Let's say you're trying to quit smoking. Instead of saying, I'm trying to quit, say, I'm not a smoker. That small shift is powerful. I'm trying to quit keeps the old identity alive. You still see yourself as someone who smokes. I'm not a smoker reinforces the new identity. You're becoming a different person. And the brain starts to match the behavior to that identity. Identity shapes motivation. When you focus on being the type of person you want to become, your motivation becomes internal. For example, instead of needing motivation to study, you remind yourself, I'm a disciplined student. Then, even on lazy days, you show up not because you feel like it, but because it's what a disciplined student does. This also reduces the mental battles we often have. Should I work out today or not? Should I write today or skip? If you already believe I'm the kind of person who exercises, the choice is easier. You're just living in alignment with your identity. How to build identity-based habits. So how do you actually do this in real life? Here's a step-by-step process. 1. Decide who you want to become. Be specific. Not just I want to be better, but I want to be the kind of person who exercises every day. I want to be the kind of person who's calm under pressure. I want to be someone who always finishes what they start. 2. Ask, what would that person do? Once you've decided your identity, ask, what would a healthy person eat today? What would a focused person do right now? What would a confident speaker say? This helps guide your small actions every day. 3. Start small to prove it to yourself. Don't try to change everything at once. Instead, start with small, simple habits that align with that identity. Want to be a reader? Read 1 page a day. Want to be fit? Do 1 push-up. Want to be financially smart? Save 10 rupees a day. These habits may seem tiny, but they send a message to your brain. This is who I am now. The power of reinforcement. Every time you repeat a habit, you reinforce the identity behind it. That's why consistency matters more than intensity. Even doing something small every day is better than doing something big once and stopping. Imagine you're voting in an election. You don't need 100% of the votes to win, you just need a majority. In the same way, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep casting votes for the identity you want. What happens when you believe in the new you? Once your brain accepts your new identity, everything gets easier. Habits feel more natural. Resistance drops. You no longer rely on motivation. Your actions align with who you believe you are. It's not just about doing things anymore, it's about being someone new. And that's the most powerful kind of change. Final thoughts on part 3. So many people fail at building habits because they only focus on what they want to achieve. But if you shift your focus to who you want to become, the results will follow. Because when your identity changes, your actions will naturally follow. So don't just chase results. Build the identity that creates those results. Part 4, The 4 Laws of Behavior Change, How to Make Good Habits Inevitable and Bad Habits Impossible. In this part of the book, James Clear gives us the step-by-step formula to build better habits and break bad ones. He calls it the 4 Laws of Behavior Change, and it's based on how your brain actually forms habits. If you follow these 4 laws, you make good habits easy to start and hard to ignore. And if you reverse them, you can break the bad habits holding you back. Let's go through each law one by one using real-life examples to make it clear. Law 1, make it obvious. Habits start with a cue, something that triggers your brain to begin a behavior. If you want to build a habit, the first step is to make that cue obvious and visible. Example. Let's say you want to drink more water. If your water bottle is inside a bag or in another room, you'll probably forget. But if you leave it on your desk where you can see it, you're much more likely to drink it. Environment shapes behavior. If your phone is next to your bed, you'll check it first thing in the morning. If a book is on your pillow, you're more likely to read before bed. Another tip is to use habit stacking. This means pairing a new habit with something you already do. Example. After I brush my teeth, I'll do 10 push-ups. After I make coffee, I'll write 1 sentence. The more obvious the habit, the easier it is to stick to it. Law 2, make it attractive. Let's be honest, we repeat habits not because they're good, but because they're enjoyable in the moment. So if you want a habit to stick, you have to make it attractive to your brain. One way to do this is through temptation bundling, combining something you need to do with something you want to do. Example. Only watch your favorite show while exercising. Only drink your favorite tea while reading or working. Now the healthy habit becomes something you look forward to. Another way to make habits attractive is to surround yourself with people who already do it. Want to exercise more? Spend time with fit friends. Want to read more? Join a book club or follow people who love reading. Humans are social creatures. We naturally copy the behavior of people around us. Law 3, make it easy. This one is huge. Many people fail at habits because they try to do too much too soon. They plan a 1-hour workout instead of a 2-minute walk. They want to write a whole chapter instead of a single paragraph. James Clear says, habits are not a finish line to be crossed, they are a lifestyle to be lived. So if you want to stick with something, make it easy to do, so easy that it's almost impossible to fail. Start with the 2-minute rule. Want to read more? Read 1 page. Want to meditate? Sit for 2 minutes. Want to journal? Write 1 sentence. It sounds silly, but this lowers the friction. And once you've started, you're more likely to keep going. Motion leads to momentum. Also, remove the barriers that slow you down. Example. Lay out your workout clothes the night before. Keep your guitar on a stand in the living room, not packed in a case. The easier it is to do, the more often you'll do it. Law 4, make it satisfying. The final part of the habit loop is the reward, and it's what makes your brain want to repeat the behavior. The habit must feel good right away. If the motivated. Unfortunately, many good habits have long-term rewards, not instant ones. You go for a walk today, but you don't lose weight today. You study today, but the exam is in 2 months. That's why Clear says you must create immediate action. Example. Use a habit tracker, tick a checkbox or mark an X on a calendar. This gives your brain. You can also reward yourself after doing the habit with something small and positive. After 20 minutes of studying, enjoy a 5-minute break. After working out, have a healthy smoothie. The more satisfying the experience, the more likely you are to repeat it. Bonus, how to break a bad habit. Just invert the 4 laws. Make it invisible, hide cues. Delete the annotations. Make it unattractive, reframe your mindset. Think of the consequences. Make it difficult, add steps between you and the behavior. Make it unsatisfying, use accountability. Set a penalty if you break the habit. Example. Want to stop snacking at night? Remove snacks from the kitchen. Remind yourself how groggy you feel next morning. Lock snacks in a box with a timer. Tell a friend to check in with you. By reversing the loop, you make bad habits harder to repeat. Final thoughts on part 4. Habits don't happen by accident. They happen by design. And the 4 laws give you the tools to design a better life. Make it obvious. Make it attractive. Make it easy. Make it satisfying. Follow this process, and even the smallest habits can change your life. Part 5, how to make habits stick for the long term. Starting a habit is one thing. Keeping it going day after day, week after week, that's the real challenge. In this part of Atomic Habits, James Clear focuses on how to stay consistent and build habits that last for years. He gives us real strategies to go from short bursts of motivation to lifelong habits that become second nature. Let's break it down. 1. Focus on showing up, not perfection. Most people try to be perfect. They make a plan, and then feel like a failure. But Clear says this. Missing once is a mistake. Missing twice is the start. The key is to focus on consistency, not perfection. If you plan to work out 30 minutes a day, but today you only have 5 minutes, still do it. If you plan to write 500 words, but you're tired, write 50. Why? Because showing up keeps the habit alive in your mind. It reinforces the identity you're building. I'm the kind of person who doesn't skip. Even a small version of the habit is better than nothing. Momentum matters more than intensity. 2. Use habit trackers to stay accountable. Your brain loves visual progress. That's why habit trackers work so well. Simply marking an X on a calendar after doing your habit can feel satisfying and motivating. It creates a streak, break it. This is called the don't break the chain strategy, made famous by comedian Jerry Seinfeld. He wrote jokes every day and marked each one with an X. After a few days, he had a chain, and he didn't want to break it. That small act of tracking kept him consistent. You can use apps, journals, or even a simple wall calendar. Tip: don't track too many things at once. Start with 1 or 2 key habits. Make tracking easy and fun. 3. Make your environment work for you. Your environment has a huge impact on your habits. Clear says, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. One of the best systems you can build is a better environment. Want to read more? Leave books on your table, not tucked away on a shelf. Want to eat healthier? Put fruits at eye level in the fridge. Hide the junk food. Want to stop using your phone in bed? Charge it in another room. When your environment supports the habit, you don't have to rely on willpower. The behavior becomes automatic. Design your space for success because what surrounds you shapes what you do. 4. Create an identity you don't want to break. Earlier, we talked about how identity shapes behavior. Well, identity also helps you stay consistent in the long run. Example: if you identify as a healthy person, you're more likely to eat well even when motivation fades. If you believe I'm a writer, you're more likely to write even when it's hard. Your identity becomes a standard. And when your actions don't match it, it creates a kind of inner discomfort. You want to stay in alignment with who you believe you are. So instead of just tracking what you do, remind yourself who you are becoming. Every action is a vote for that version of yourself. 5. Use the power of reset moments. Everyone messes up. You'll skip a workout. You'll overeat. You'll scroll too long. But Clear says the difference between people who succeed and those who give up is this: successful people get back on track quickly. They use something called a reset moment. A reset moment is any chance to start fresh: a new day, a new week, even a new hour. You had a bad morning? Reset at lunch. You skipped a habit today? Start again tomorrow. You went off track all week? Start again Monday. These micro resets keep you from spiraling. You stop judging yourself and just begin again. Progress isn't about being perfect. It's about returning to the habit over and over, until it becomes natural. 6. Make the habit satisfying immediately. One reason people give up on good habits is that the results take time. You don't lose weight after one salad. You don't become fluent after one language lesson. Meanwhile, bad habits often give instant pleasure. So what's the solution? Find a way to make good habits feel good immediately. Examples: track your progress with a notebook or app. Give yourself a small reward after doing the habit. Remind yourself of the future benefits every time you finish. You can also attach social rewards. Tell a friend what you accomplished. Share your streak on social media. The brain needs some kind of quick satisfaction to stay motivated. 7. Be flexible with your approach, but firm with your identity. Life changes. Routines change. You get busy. You travel. You fall sick. So be ready to adjust your methods without abandoning your habits. Can't go to the gym? Do a home workout. Can't meditate for 10 minutes? Do 1 minute. Can't write 500 words? Jot down 3 bullet points. Your identity stays the same, even if your process changes. You're not skipping the habit, you're just adapting it. This flexibility is what keeps a habit going for years. Final thoughts on part 5. Building habits is not about intensity. It's about making small, consistent choices that align with who you want to become. To make your habits stick for the long term, show up, even if it's not perfect. Track your habits visually. Design your environment to support you. Build an identity you don't want to break. Use reset moments to bounce back quickly. Make your habits immediately satisfying. Stay flexible, but never give up. This is how small actions lead to lasting identity change. Part 6. How to break bad habits without willpower. Most of us have at least one bad habit we wish we could stop: checking our phone too often, overeating junk food, skipping workouts, procrastinating, spending too much money. But here's the truth. Willpower alone doesn't work for long. James Clear explains that the most effective way to break a bad habit isn't to fight it, it's to make it hard to do, unattractive, and unsatisfying. In this part, He flips the 4 laws of behavior change and teaches us how to reverse them so we can dismantle bad habits from the inside out. Let's look at each of the reverse laws with real-world examples. Law 1, inverted: make it invisible. Habits are triggered by cues, things we see, hear, or feel. So the first step in breaking a bad habit, the cue. You can't always eliminate temptation, but you can avoid looking at it constantly. Example 1. Want to stop checking your phone first thing in the morning? Charge it in another room. Use a bicycle clock instead. Example 2. Trying to cut back on junk food? Don't keep chips or sweets on the counter. Store them out of reach or don't bring them home at all. If the cue isn't there, the craving weakens. Environment matters. Just like a good environment makes good habits easy, a smart environment makes bad habits harder. Design your surroundings so they no longer encourage the behavior you want to stop. Law 2, inverted: make it unattractive. We do bad habits because at some level they're appealing. They give us comfort, distraction, or pleasure. To change that, you need to reframe how you see the habit. Start linking your bad habits to negative outcomes and long-term pain, not short-term relief. Example. If you eat fast food every day, stop thinking it's quick and tasty. Instead, remind yourself, this food makes me feel sluggish, hurts my health, and wasting. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Train your brain to associate the habit with something undesirable. Another tip, visualize the consequences if you keep doing it for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. How will your health look? How much money will you have wasted? How much regret will you feel? When your mind stops romanticizing the habit, it becomes easier to avoid it. Law 3, inverted: make it difficult. This is one of the tools to break a habit. If a habit becomes harder to do, even slightly, you're less likely to do it. Why? Because your brain always looks for the path of least resistance. So we want to add friction between you and the bad habit. Example 1. Want to watch less TV? Unplug it after every use. Remove the batteries from the remote. Log out of Netflix so you have to re-enter your password each time. Example 2. Want to stop scrolling social media? Log out after every session. Delete the apps from your home screen. Use website blockers to restrict access during certain hours. It's not about removing the habit completely. It's about increasing the effort required even by 10 or 20 seconds. Small delay often breaks the impulse. If the habit is no longer easy, it's less tempting. Law 4, inverted: make it unsatisfying. This final law is about breaking the reward loop. We repeat bad habits because they give us instant gratification. So the goal is to make the habit feel unsatisfying or disappointing instead. One way to do this is through accountability. Example. Tell a friend you're quitting sugar. Join a group that checks in with your progress. Make a public commitment like posting your goal online. Now, if you break your habit, it doesn't just affect you. It creates a small sense of embarrassment, failure, or letting someone down. Another method, use a penalty system. You can create a rule like, if I skip the gym, I pay 100 rupees to a friend. If I eat junk food, I put 200 rupees in a regret jar. The point isn't punishment, it's to attach real consequences to actions that used to be easy to ignore. Pain, even mild, is a strong behavior modifier. Use a commitment device. James Clear also introduces something called a commitment device. It's a tool or rule that helps you stick to good habits and avoid bad ones by locking in your future behavior. Examples. Give your friend 1000 rupees and say, if I skip my morning routine this week, you keep it. Install an app that blocks distractions for a certain period. Schedule workouts with a partner so you're committed in advance. These devices help when willpower is weak. They let you pre-commit to doing the right thing before temptation hits. Don't rely on motivation. Here's the main takeaway. You don't break bad habits by being more disciplined. You break them by redesigning your life. It's not about trying harder. It's about making bad habits hard to do, unsatisfying, and less appealing. If you make a bad habit invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying, it fades away over time. Final thoughts on part 6. To break a bad habit. Remove the triggers. Change how you think about it. Make it harder to do. Make it less rewarding. Even small changes in your environment or mindset can have a big impact. And remember, You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be consistent. Your habits shape your future. One step at a time, you can let go of what's holding you back. Part 7, The Real Secret, Small Habits, Big Results. What if the most powerful force for success wasn't massive change, but tiny improvements? This is the central idea of Atomic Habits, and it's what makes the book so powerful. James Clear calls it the power of atomic habits. Let's dive into how small changes lead to remarkable transformations and why this is the key to long-term success in every area of life. 1. Small habits compound over time. We often think change has to be big to matter. We tell ourselves, I need to completely change my diet. I have to wake up at 5 a.m. every day. I'll run 5 kilometers every morning. But that's not how real transformation happens. Clear explains this using a simple concept. If you get just 1% better each day, you'll be 37 times better by the end of the year. That's the power of compounding, not just in money, but in habits. Let's break that down. If you read 1 page a day, eventually you read dozens of books. If you save 10 rupees a day, beats thousands or time. If you do 1 push-up a day, it leads to real strength. The truth is, habits don't seem to matter at first, but they compound into something big. 2. Breakthroughs come from patience. Imagine you're trying to melt an ice cube. At first, the room is cold 0 degrees, then 1 degree, then 2, then 3. Still nothing. The ice doesn't change. You reach 31 degrees, still no change. But when you hit 32 degrees, suddenly the ice begins to melt. Was it that last degree that caused the breakthrough? Not really. It was the build-up. The quiet progress you made that wasn't visible yet. James Clear calls this the plateau of latent potential. Most people quit when they're on this plateau. They say, I've been eating healthy for weeks, no results. I've written 10 blog posts, nobody's reading. I've worked out for a month, I still look the same. But success takes time. You're building momentum under the surface. Breakthroughs look like sudden events, but they are actually the result of invisible progress. 3. Forget goals. Focus on systems. This is one of the most important mindset shifts in the book. Most people focus on goals. I want to lose 10 kilos. I want to save 1 lakh rupees. I want to learn guitar. But Clear says goals don't create change. Systems do. A goal is your desired outcome. A system is the process that leads to that result. Example. Goal, write a book. System, write 500 words a day. Goal, run a marathon. System, train 4 days a week. Goal, learn a language. System, practice 15 minutes daily with flashcards and apps. If you set a goal and forget the system, you fail. If you build a system and follow it consistently, you reach the goal automatically. So stop obsessing over the finish line. Start perfecting your daily habits. 4. Identity change is the deepest form of growth. This idea is what sets Atomic Habits apart. According to Clear, there are 3 levels of behavior change. Outcomes: losing weight, writing a book, getting stronger. Processes: your habits and routines. Identity: your beliefs about who you are. Most people try to change from the outside in. They say, I want to be fit, and try to eat healthy. But deep down, they still believe, I'm not a healthy person. And that belief wins. True change happens when you shift your identity. Don't just try to write. Become a writer. Don't just try to eat well. Become someone who values health. Don't just save money. Become a person who is financially responsible. Every time you do a habit, you cast a vote for the type of person you want to be. So build identity through action. 5. Master the art of habit maintenance. It's easy to start strong. The real skill is staying consistent. Clear offers these tips to keep your habits alive. Use habit tracking, mark an X when you complete a habit. Build accountability, tell someone what you're working on. Reward yourself in small ways, make good habits feel satisfying. Design your environment, make the good habit obvious and easy, but most importantly, don't aim for perfection. Aim for consistency. Missing once is okay. Missing twice is dangerous. The more days in a row you succeed, the easier it becomes to continue. 6. Don't chase big wins, chase small consistency. We often think success is about doing something amazing. But in reality, success is about doing the ordinary consistently. It's about brushing your teeth every day, taking a walk even when it's raining, reading one page when you're tired, saving a few rupees when money is tight. These things seem small, even pointless, but they are building something powerful underneath. Clear habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Tiny actions repeated daily are what separate average lives from extraordinary ones. Final thoughts on part 7. The real secret to transformation isn't motivation. It's not discipline. It's not big, dramatic change. It's small, consistent habits done every day. If you want to build a better life, start small. Stick with it. Focus on systems. Build the identity you want. Let time and consistency do the rest. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to not give up. Because small habits done with purpose create big results. That brings us to the end of our deep dive into Atomic Habits by James Clear. We've seen how tiny changes done consistently can lead to powerful results over time. Remember, it's not about making huge leaps overnight. It's about showing up every day, building systems that work, and slowly becoming the person you want to be. So start small. Stay consistent. And trust the process, because real change happens one tiny habit at a time. If you found this summary helpful, please consider liking the video and subscribing to Books Arena. We share detailed, practical summaries of life-changing books explained in a way that's easy to understand and apply. Got a book you want us to cover next? Tell us in the comments, we're always listening. Until then, keep growing, one page and one habit at a time. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Welcome to Books Arena. Today, we are going to explore a journey that is not about becoming someone else, but about rediscovering the power that has been within you all along. Imagine this: there is a sleeping giant inside every person, a force capable of changing everything in their life. But most people never wake it up. They go through the motions, held back by habits, doubts, and the belief that this is just the way things are. Tony Robbins has shown that this giant is not a myth. It is your ability to decide, right now, that your life will never be the same again. It is the moment you stop accepting limits and start shaping your destiny. This is not about motivation for a day. It is about mastering the small, powerful changes in your emotions, beliefs, and actions that can completely rewrite your future. Because lasting change is not a matter of chance, it is a matter of choice. So, let us begin the journey inward. Let us knock on the door of the giant within you, and wake it up. Part 1: The power to change your life. Every great transformation begins with a single decision. Not a wish. Not a hope. But a decision so firm that it cuts off all other possibilities. Think of a moment in your life when you finally said, "Enough is enough." Maybe it was walking away from a toxic relationship, quitting a habit that was destroying you, or deciding to pursue a dream that others laughed at. That moment, whether you realized it or not, was the start of a new chapter. Tony Robbins teaches that decisions, not conditions, shape our destiny. Two people can face the exact same circumstances and create completely different futures simply because of the choices they make. One person will give up, the other will rise, and it all starts in the mind. Consider the story of Colonel Sanders, the man behind KFC. At the age of 65, after receiving his first Social Security check, he could have accepted a quiet retirement. Instead, he decided to share his fried chicken recipe with the world. He was rejected more than 1,000 times before finding someone who believed in his idea. That one decision to try one more time changed his life and fed millions. The truth is, most of us underestimate the power of a single moment of commitment. We wait for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect plan. But perfection never comes. Those who change their lives act first and figure things out along the way. The decision comes before the details. Robbins also reminds us that decision act, a decision to remain the same. People often say, "I am thinking about it," or "I will start tomorrow," but tomorrow becomes next week, next month, and eventually a lifetime of waiting. Every day that passes without action strengthens the chains of the life you no longer want. To awaken the giant within, you must first accept that you already have the power to steer your life in any direction you choose. You do not need permission. You do not need to wait for luck. What you need is clarity on what you truly want, and the courage to commit to it fully. Think of life as a train station. The tracks are endless, heading to thousands of destinations. You are the conductor. Every decision you make switches the tracks. Even the smallest turn can, over time, take you to a completely different place than where you were headed. The tragedy is that many people never touch the controls. They let the train roll on autopilot, even if it is going somewhere they hate. The moment you take control, everything changes. You stop blaming circumstances and start shaping them. You stop asking, "What will happen to me?" and start asking, "What can I make happen?" That shift in mindset is the first spark that wakes the sleeping giant. Changing your life is not a one-time act. It is a series of decisions, made consistently, that align with the future you want. And the first, most important decision is to never again settle for less than you can be, do, or have. If you are waiting for a sign, let this be it. You have the power right in this very moment to choose a different path. Decide, and the world will open in ways you never imagined. Part 2, Mastering Your Emotions. Every action you take, every word you speak, and every decision you make is shaped by one thing: the way you feel in that moment. You can have all the skills in the world, the best plans, and the perfect timing, but if you are overwhelmed by fear, anger, or doubt, you will sabotage yourself before you even begin. On the other hand, if you can shift your emotions into a state of confidence, passion, and determination, even the impossible starts to feel possible. Mastering your emotions is not about pretending to be happy all the time. It is about learning to take control of your emotional state, so you are not a slave to every mood swing or setback. Most people live as if their emotions are accidents, as if joy, sadness, confidence, or fear simply happen to them. But the truth is, emotions are signals, and like any signal, you can tune them, amplify them, or change the channel entirely. Imagine a skilled surfer. He cannot control the ocean. The waves will come whether he likes it or not. But he can control how he rides them. Some waves he will ride all the way to shore, others he will avoid. Emotions are just like waves. You cannot stop them from appearing, but you can decide which ones to ride, and which ones to let pass by. There is a famous story about Viktor Frankl, the Austrian psychiatrist who survived the horrors of a Nazi concentration camp. Surrounded by starvation, cruelty, and death, Frankl discovered something extraordinary: the last of human freedoms is the ability to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Even when everything was stripped away, he realized he still had the power to decide how he would think and feel. That choice gave him strength when many others had lost hope. Tony Robbins teaches that emotions are not random. They are produced by patterns in the way we use our body, our focus, and our language. Change any of those three, and you can change how you feel in seconds. First, there is physiology, the way you use your body. Think about the last time you felt truly confident. Your shoulders were probably back, your breathing deep, your chin slightly raised. Now imagine the opposite when you felt defeated. Your shoulders slumped, your breathing was shallow, and your gaze was down. The physical difference is obvious, and so is the emotional one. By changing your posture, breathing, and movement, you can instantly shift your mood. Second, there is focus. Whatever you focus on, you feel. If you focus on what you have lost, you will feel pain. If you focus on what you can gain, you will feel possibility. Two people can face the same problem, but one will see it as a dead end, while the other sees it as a challenge to grow. The situation is the same, the focus is different. Third, there is language. The words you use, both in your mind and out loud, shape the way you interpret your life. Saying "I am devastated" produces a very different emotional response than saying "I am a bit disappointed." Our language either fuels our fire or pours water on it. Robbins calls this transformational vocabulary the art of choosing words that change the meaning of what happens to you. If you want to master your emotions, you must practice catching yourself in the moment when a negative feeling takes hold. Then, you deliberately change your body, your focus, or your language to create a more empowering state. This is not about ignoring problems, it is about facing them from a position of strength instead of weakness. Let us take a real-world example. Imagine a business owner who just lost a major client. One reaction is to panic, slump in a chair, and start telling everyone, "This is a disaster." That state will only make it harder to find solutions. Another reaction is to stand tall, take a deep breath, and say, "This is a chance to find someone even better to work with." That shift in emotion can lead to creativity, resilience, and decisive action. The key is consistency. Weather, but you can choose how to dress for it. Likewise, You cannot always control what happens in life, but you can control the emotional state you bring to it. Over time, this skill becomes second nature. You stop being tossed around by every wave, and start surfing toward the life you want. There is a hidden benefit to mastering your emotions. It transforms your relationships. People are naturally drawn to those who bring positive energy, stability, and hope. When you can stay calm in chaos, inspire others when they are down, and uplift them with your presence, you not only improve your own life, you become a leader in theirs. The sleeping giant within you cannot wake up in a body weighed down by fear, doubt, or anger. To awaken it fully, you must learn to command your emotional state, no matter what life throws at you. And that begins by remembering this truth: emotions are not in control of you, you are in control of them. The power of decisions. Every great achievement in history, every invention, every movement, every breakthrough started with a single decision. A decision to act. A decision to change, a decision to never go back. Yet most people treat decisions as if they are casual wishes, like tossing a coin into a fountain and hoping for the best. They say things like, "I'll try to get healthier," or "I should start my own business." But a real decision is not a wish. It is a commitment, a line drawn in the sand. Tony Robbins says, "It is in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped." Think about that. In the space of just a few seconds, you can choose to turn your life in a completely different direction. The choice to stop smoking. The choice to leave a toxic job. The choice to commit to a dream no matter how many obstacles appear. History is filled with examples. Rosa Parks, tired from work, made a decision on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama, not to give up her seat. That single choice sparked the civil rights movement. Thomas Edison decided he would find a way to make the electric light bulb work, even after thousands of failures. Those were not half-hearted attempts, they were decisions backed by total commitment. But here's the truth: only the first step. Most people decide on something but never follow through because they fail to cut off all other possibilities. The word decision comes from the Latin decidere, meaning to cut off. A real decision means you burn the boats. You don't give yourself a way back. You commit fully. The problem for many is that they confuse decisions with preferences. Saying "I'd like to be fit" is a preference. Saying "I will be fit" and then restructuring your diet, schedule, and environment to make it happen, that's a decision. So how do you make decisions that last? Robbins teaches 3 rules. Decide what you really want, not what you think you should want. Too often, people make decisions based on others' expectations. They choose careers to please their parents, lifestyles to impress friends, or goals because society says they should. But a decision without genuine desire will always crumble under pressure. Ask yourself, if no one else's opinion mattered, what would I choose? Commit and take immediate action. The longer you wait after making a decision, the weaker it becomes. Momentum is everything. If you decide to start a business, take the first step that same day: register a domain, research your market, or outline your plan. Action cements commitment. Stay flexible in your approach, but unshakable in your goal. Many give up because their first plan fails. But the decision is about the destination, not the exact route. If one road is blocked, you find another. Think of Edison. Thousands of failed attempts did not change his decision to invent the light bulb, only his methods. There's also a deeper layer to decision-making: the power of standards. Your life is a reflection of what you are willing to tolerate. If you decide you will no longer tolerate being treated with disrespect, you will remove yourself from toxic relationships. If you decide you will no longer tolerate financial stress, you will start making changes to earn, save, and invest differently. Raise your standards, and your decisions will naturally follow. One powerful exercise Robbins suggests is to look at your life right now and identify 3 areas you are dissatisfied with. For each one, make a real decision, not a goal, but a commitment to change it. Then take at least one action toward that change today. The point is to train your brain to connect decisions with action. There's a story Robbins shares about a young man who wanted to be a professional speaker. For years, he said, "I want to do it," but never took the leap. One day, he made a decision. Within 24 hours, he booked his first speaking gig, even though he was terrified. That one action forced him to prepare, and it set his entire career in motion. Decisions also have a compound effect. One small choice can set off a chain reaction that changes your life in ways you never expected. Deciding to take a morning walk could lead to meeting someone who becomes a lifelong friend or business partner. Deciding to take a course could open doors to a career you never imagined. But perhaps the most important truth about decisions is this: you are always making them, whether you realize it or not. Choosing to stay in your current job is a decision. Choosing not to confront a problem is a decision. Choosing to delay your dreams is a decision. If you do not make conscious, deliberate choices, life will make them for you and you may not like where you end up. So take ownership. Become aware of the choices you are making every day. Ask yourself, is this decision moving me toward the life I want, or further away from it? The giant within you will not awaken until you start deciding, with absolute certainty, who you want to be and how you want to live. And once you decide, act. The moment you commit fully, the universe has a strange way of opening doors you never saw before. Part 4, Changing Your Beliefs. Every action you take, every habit you form, and every result you experience is shaped by one invisible force: your beliefs. Your beliefs are the compass that guides your decisions, the filter through which you interpret reality, and the ceiling that determines how far you can go. Beliefs are like the software of your mind. If the software is outdated or corrupted, no matter how powerful the hardware, your intelligence, your talents, your resources, the results will be limited. You can want success, you can work hard, but if you secretly believe you're not good enough or that success is for other people, your own mind will sabotage you. Tony Robbins puts it clearly: beliefs have the power to create and the power to destroy. Think of beliefs as references your brain collects over time. When you were a child, maybe you were told you were smart, and that belief empowered you. Or maybe you were told you were clumsy, and you carried that label into adulthood without questioning it. One comment, one experience, one failure can plant a belief, and if left unchecked, can grow roots so deep that it shapes your destiny. Some beliefs are empowering. I always find a way. I can learn anything. I deserve to be happy. These give you the fuel to face challenges. Others are limiting. I'm unlucky. Money is evil. I always mess things up. These act like mental chains, holding you back even when opportunity is right in front of you. So, how do we change beliefs? Robbins explains a simple truth: a belief is nothing more than a feeling of certainty about what something means. Change the meaning, and the belief changes. Here are the 3 steps to transforming your beliefs. Identify the limiting belief. The first step is awareness. Ask yourself, what belief has been holding me back? Maybe it's I'm not good at relationships, or I'll never be financially free. Write it down. Make it visible. Bring it into the open. Challenge its validity. Every belief is built on references, past experiences, things people told you, things you've observed. But those references are not absolute truth. Question them: is this belief always true? Could the opposite be true? Often, you'll realize the belief is based on a narrow set of experiences, not universal reality. Replace it with an empowering belief and reinforce it. It's not enough to tear down an old belief, you must replace it with a new one that serves you. If your old belief was I'm not a leader, replace it with I am learning to lead effectively every day. Then, seek evidence to reinforce it. Read books on leadership, take small leadership roles, and notice your progress. One of the most powerful ways to shift beliefs is to change the emotional intensity around them. If a belief is linked to strong negative emotions, it feels unshakable. But if you change the emotional meaning, the belief starts to weaken. Robbins shares the story of a woman who believed she was worthless because of a painful breakup. For years, she saw that event as proof that she wasn't lovable. But when she reframed it, seeing the breakup as a necessary step toward discovering her self-worth, her entire sense of identity shifted. The event didn't change, the meaning did. Here's another important point: beliefs are formed by repetition. The more often you tell yourself something, the more your brain accepts it as truth. This is why affirmations, when done with emotional intensity, can be powerful. But repetition without emotion is weak. Saying I'm confident without feeling it will have little effect. Saying it while recalling moments you truly felt strong creates a deep emotional imprint. We must also recognize the role of environment. If you're surrounded by people who constantly complain, doubt, or criticize, their beliefs can infect yours. If you want to upgrade your beliefs, upgrade your environment. Spend time around people whose beliefs inspire you. Changing beliefs is not about pretending bad things never happen. It's about choosing interpretations that empower you. Two people can face the same challenge, but their beliefs about it will determine their response. One person sees failure as the end, another sees it as feedback. The situation is the same, but the belief changes everything. Here's a quick exercise. Write down 3 limiting beliefs you hold right now. For each, write 3 reasons why it's not absolutely true. Then, write a new empowering belief and find 3 real-life examples that support it. When you do this consistently, your brain begins to shift its default programming. Over time, the old beliefs lose their grip, and the new ones take root. The truth is, you cannot permanently change your actions without changing the beliefs that drive. If you believe you're destined to fail, you will subconsciously find ways to prove yourself right. But if you believe you're resourceful, capable, and worthy of success, you will find ways to prove that right too. Your beliefs are the foundation of your destiny. Change them, and you change everything. The giant within is not just your passion or your energy, it's your belief in what's possible for you. Once you take control of that, the world opens up in ways you never imagined. Part 5, Mastering Your Values. Every decision you make is guided by an invisible compass, your values. Values are the emotional states you want to experience most, the feelings you prioritize above all else. They are the standards that determine what's right and wrong for you, what's important, and what's worth pursuing. Think about it, 2 people can be faced with the exact same choice and make completely different decisions, simply because their values are different. One person might value security above all else, while another values freedom. The first might choose a stable job with a fixed salary, the second might take the risk of starting a business. Neither is right or wrong, they are simply following the map of their values. The problem is, most people never consciously choose their values. They absorb them from parents, friends, culture, or society. Maybe you grew up in a family that valued stability, so you unconsciously make safe choices. Or maybe you were surrounded by people who valued status, so you chase approval without even realizing it. Tony Robbins explains that mastering your values is one of the most powerful ways to take control of your life. If your values are unclear, you will feel conflicted, torn between choices, and unsure why certain decisions leave you unhappy. But when your values are clear, decisions become easier. Values come in 2 types, moving toward values and moving away from values. Moving toward values are the emotional states you strive to experience, things like love, success, adventure, growth, health, and connection. Moving away from values are the emotional states you avoid at all costs, things like rejection, failure, humiliation, loneliness, and pain. Here's where it gets interesting, many people have a conflict between these 2 lists. For example, someone might have love as their top moving toward value but have rejection as their top moving away from value. That means they deeply want love, but they fear rejection so much that they avoid taking the risks necessary to find it. This is why self-awareness is key. You need to know both what you're chasing and what you're running from. Step 1, identify your current values. Grab a pen and paper. Write down the top 5 to 10 emotional states you desire most in life. Don't overthink, just list what comes to mind. Maybe it's happiness, freedom, success, comfort, or contribution. Then, write down the top 5 to 10 emotional states you avoid most. This might be failure, pain, boredom, conflict, or embarrassment. When you have both lists, you might start to see why certain areas of your life feel stuck. Maybe your number 1 desire is excitement, but your number 1 avoidance is uncertainty. Well, here's the catch, excitement often comes from uncertainty. So your own values might be working against each other. Step 2, redesign your values for empowerment. Once you see where your current values are clashing, you can consciously reorder them. Ask yourself, which values will lead me to the life I want, not the life I've been settling for. For example, if comfort is currently your top priority, you might be avoiding challenges that could help you grow. If you place growth above comfort, you'll start making different choices that might feel uncomfortable in the short term but deeply fulfilling in the long term. Likewise, you might decide to lower the importance of certain moving away from values. If you currently avoid criticism at all costs, you might intentionally choose to care less about it, knowing that criticism is a natural part of success. Step 3, link values to action. It's not enough to say I value health if you don't link it to daily habits. If you value growth, schedule learning time into your week. If you value love, prioritize meaningful time with the people you care about. When your actions consistently align with your values, you'll feel a deep sense of integrity and confidence. One of Robin's most important lessons is that your values determine your destiny far more than your abilities. A person with modest skills but empowering values will go farther than a talented person with conflicting values. Why? Because values drive consistent action, and consistent action creates results. A real-life example. Consider someone who values freedom above all else. They might avoid traditional careers, preferring freelance work or entrepreneurship. But if they also have security high on their list, they'll constantly feel tension wanting the freedom to explore but worrying about financial stability. Unless they consciously decide which value comes first, they'll stay stuck in indecision. Another example, a person might value family but also value achievement above all else. If achievement always wins, they might neglect time with loved ones and later feel regret. Again, clarity and conscious choice are the solution. Why most people struggle? Many people think they have bad habits or lack of discipline, but in reality, they're simply following their current value hierarchy. If comfort is your number one value, your brain will resist anything that feels like effort, not because you're lazy, but because you're being loyal to your highest value. Change your values, and your habits will follow. The breakthrough. Here's the big takeaway: you have the power to consciously choose and reorder your values at any time. You are not bound by the ones you inherited or picked up unconsciously. When you align your top moving toward values with the life you want and reduce the control of your limiting moving away from values, you unlock a new level of freedom and power. Your values are like the destination programmed into your GPS. If you don't set them intentionally, you might keep driving in circles. But when you choose them consciously, your path becomes clear, your decisions become faster, and your life becomes a direct reflection of what matters most to you. Master your values, and you master your life. Part 6, Rules, the invisible roadblocks to joy. If values are the compass that guides your life, rules are the instructions you've created, often unconsciously, for how to feel good or bad about yourself. Think about it. Everyone has rules for what has to happen before they feel happy, successful, loved, or confident. These rules act like checklists in your mind. The problem? Most people's checklists are so complicated, so strict, or so unrealistic that they rarely ever get to feel the way they want. For example, someone's rule for feeling successful might be, I'll feel successful when I earn $1 million a year, own a mansion, and have my own private jet. Sounds ambitious, right? But what happens until they achieve all that? They feel unsuccessful. Maybe for decades. Meanwhile, another person might have a rule for success that says, I feel successful every time I take a step toward my goals. Same word success, completely different emotional experience. Tony Robbins calls this the rules trap. We create these elaborate, often unfair, conditions for our happiness. And worse, we give control of those rules to things or people outside of ourselves. Consider love. Some people's rule might be, I'll feel loved when someone tells me I love you, spends all their free time with me, never argues, and constantly shows affection. That's a lot to expect from anyone, and it puts your emotional state entirely in someone else's hands. Instead, imagine if your rule for feeling loved was, I feel loved whenever I choose to give love. Suddenly, you're in control. Your happiness doesn't depend on someone else's behavior, it depends on your own choices. The key insight. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your rules. The more rigid, complicated, or externally dependent they are, the less happy you'll be. The more flexible, simple, and internally controlled they are, the more joy you'll experience. Step 1. Identify your current rules. Pick a few important values you have, like happiness, success, love, or confidence, and ask yourself, what has to happen for me to feel this way? Write down your answers honestly. You might be surprised at how demanding your rules are. Maybe your happiness depends on everything going perfectly in your day. Maybe your confidence depends on never making a mistake. Maybe your sense of love depends entirely on another person's constant reassurance. When you see these rules on paper, you'll realize how often you've been setting yourself up to lose. Step 2. Notice the imbalance. Some people have rules that make it easy to feel bad and hard to feel good. For example, easy to feel bad rule, I feel disrespected whenever someone interrupts me. That could happen 5 times a day. Hard to feel good rule, I only feel respected when everyone agrees with me. Almost impossible to achieve. When the scale is tilted like this, no wonder life feels frustrating. Step 3. Redesign your rules. Your goal is to create rules that make it easy to feel good and hard to feel bad while still holding yourself to empowering standards. That means rewriting your conditions so they're more within your control and less dependent on others. For instance, instead of "I feel successful only when I achieve every single goal I set," you could say, "I feel successful whenever I learn, grow, and make consistent progress toward my goals." Instead of "I feel loved only when my partner does X, Y, and Z," you could say, "I feel loved whenever I focus on the love I already have and express it freely." Why this works? Changing your rules doesn't mean lowering your standards. You can still aim for excellence. But it means you are no longer putting your emotions at the mercy of events you can't control. If your rules for happiness rely on perfect weather, perfect people, and perfect timing, you're going to live in constant disappointment. But if your rules rely on your own actions, things like gratitude, learning, kindness, then you can experience joy every single day. A real-life example. Imagine two athletes. Both train hard. Both win sometimes and lose sometimes. Athlete A's rule for feeling successful: "I only feel successful when I win." Athlete B's rule: "I feel successful when I give my best effort in training and competition." Which athlete will feel fulfilled more often? Clearly Athlete B. They can experience success every day, not just on rare victories. The hidden danger. If you don't consciously choose your rules, you inherit them from your parents, your culture, your past experiences. Maybe your family valued hard work, but only celebrated when something was perfect. Now, decades later, you might still be chasing that impossible standard, never allowing yourself to feel good enough. The breakthrough. Once you consciously redefine your rules, you can transform instantly. You can go from rarely feeling joy to experiencing it daily without changing your job, your relationships, or your bank account. The shift is internal. You decide that the path to feeling good is simple, fair, and under your control. Here's a question Robbins suggests asking yourself. How can I make it easier to feel good and harder to feel bad? When you live by empowering rules, challenges still come, but they no longer have the power to steal your joy. Your emotions become self-generated, not circumstantial. And that is true freedom. Your rules shape your emotions, and your emotions shape your destiny. Choose rules that make life a game you can win every day. Part 7, The Power of Identity, the Force That Shapes Your Life. If beliefs are the building blocks of your life and rules are the instructions you follow, then identity is the master blueprint. Your identity is simply the set of beliefs you have about who you are. It answers the question, what kind of person am I? And here's the truth: you will always act in alignment with your identity, even if it conflicts with your goals or dreams. Think about it: if you see yourself as a shy person, no matter how much you want to be outgoing, you'll find yourself avoiding conversations. If you believe "I'm terrible with money," you might sabotage your financial success even after earning more income. Your identity acts like an invisible thermostat. You might push yourself to new heights, but if that success doesn't match your self-image, you'll unconsciously pull yourself back down. Why identity is so powerful? Your brain has a deep need to remain consistent with how you see yourself. If you think of yourself as lazy, you'll resist evidence that you're hardworking. If you identify as fit and healthy, you'll naturally avoid habits that threaten that. This is why real change doesn't last unless it involves a shift in identity. You can adopt a new diet, but if you still think, "I'm someone who loves junk food," you'll eventually return to old habits. The problem: outdated identities. Many of our identities were formed years ago, even in childhood, based on past experiences, other people's opinions, or mistakes we made long ago. But just because you failed once doesn't mean you're a failure. Just because you were shy in school doesn't mean you are shy today. Yet, we carry these outdated labels as if they were carved in stone. And because identity drives behavior, we keep living out the same patterns. The good news: identity is flexible. Tony Robbins makes it clear your identity is not fixed. You can consciously choose a new one that empowers you instead of limiting you. And when you shift your identity, your actions will naturally follow. Step 1. Identify your current identity statements. Ask yourself, how do I usually describe myself? Listen to the labels you use. I'm not a morning person. I'm bad at technology. I'm a people pleaser. Then ask, where did I learn this? Is it true today? Is it helping me become the person I want to be? Step 2. Decide who you want to be. Choose an identity that supports your goals. This is not about lying to yourself, it's about focusing on who you can be, starting now. If your goal is to be healthier, instead of I'm trying to lose weight, you could say, I'm a fit, energetic person who loves taking care of my body. If your goal is to be more confident, instead of I'm working on my confidence, you could say, I'm someone who speaks with certainty and connects easily with others. Step 3. Reinforce your new identity. Identity change happens through consistent evidence. Every action you take that aligns with your new identity strengthens it. If your new identity is I'm disciplined, every time you keep a promise to yourself, that belief grows stronger. The more you act in alignment with your chosen identity, the more natural it becomes until it's simply who you are. The raise your standards principle. Your identity is tied to the standards you refuse to lower. If you see yourself as someone who always follows through, you'll feel uncomfortable the moment you break a promise, and that discomfort will push you back on track. Robbins says, the strongest force in the human personality is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. That means if you define yourself in empowering terms, your actions will naturally match. A real-life example. Two people decide to quit smoking. Person A says, I'm trying to quit smoking. Their identity is still that of a smoker. Person B says, or their identity has shifted to that of a non-smoker. Guess who has a better chance of long-term success? Person B. Because their behavior is now tied to a new identity, not just a temporary action. Breaking free from old labels. You may have been told you're not smart enough, not talented, or not disciplined. These are just opinions, not facts. The moment you decide to reject those labels and choose new ones, you open the door to a different future. Living in alignment. When your identity, values, beliefs, and rules all align, life feels effortless. You no longer have to push yourself constantly, your actions become automatic because they're simply part of who you are. For example, if you identify as a leader who inspires others, you won't have to force yourself to step up in a meeting. You'll naturally do it, because that's what leaders do. The final step, declare and embody it. Your identity grows stronger every time you affirm it to yourself and to others. Speak it out loud. Write it down. Act on it daily. And surround yourself with people who reinforce your new self-image instead of pulling you back to your old one. Remember, your identity is a choice. You can decide, right now, to become the kind of person who achieves the life you want. As Tony Robbins says, the only thing keeping you from what you want is the story you keep telling yourself about who you are. Change the story, and you change everything. And that brings us to the end of Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. We've explored how small, consistent decisions can reshape the course of our lives. How mastering your beliefs, values, emotions, and identity can transform not just what you do but who you become. Remember, change doesn't have to take years. In fact, it begins the very moment you make a true decision, a decision backed by commitment and consistent action. Your destiny is not written by chance. It's crafted by the standards you set, the meaning you give to life's events, and the identity you choose to live by. So, take what you've learned here and put it into action. Don't just listen, decide, commit, and step into the life you deserve. This is your time. Your power is already within you. All you have to do is awaken the giant. Thank you for listening. This is Books Arena, where we bring you the world's most impactful books in simple, powerful words. If you enjoyed this audiobook summary, make sure to subscribe to Books Arena so you never miss another life-changing story. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep becoming the best version of. Welcome to Books Arena, the place where powerful books meet practical life. In today's video, we're diving into one of the most influential self-help books of all time, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. This book has transformed the lives of leaders, students, professionals, and everyday people across the world. But don't worry, this isn't just theory. We'll break it all down using real-life examples, simple explanations, and practical takeaways you can apply starting today. So whether you're stuck in bad habits or just want to level up your thinking, you're in the right place. Let's get started, and remember, true change always begins from the inside out. Part 1, Inside Out, Real Change Begins Within. Imagine this. You switch jobs again. You tell yourself your boss is toxic. Or your team never listens. But everywhere you go, the same problems seem to follow you. Stephen Covey calls this the outside-in mindset. That means we think the problem is out there. We blame others. We blame time. We blame situations. But Covey says that real change starts from the inside out. It begins by changing your mindset, your character, and your habits. He introduces a powerful idea called paradigms. A paradigm is the way you see the world. Like a lens. And if your lens is scratched or broken, then no matter how hard you try, your view of everything is distorted. Example. You believe your co-workers are lazy. So you stop helping them. You pull back. Eventually, they notice. They stop helping you too. Now your belief becomes reality. Not because it was true, but because you acted on that belief. This is the power of your mindset. So before you learn the 7 habits, ask yourself one thing. Am I ready to take responsibility for my own growth? Because that is where real change begins. Part 2, The Private Victory, Habits 1 to 3. Before you can lead others, you must learn to lead yourself. This is what Covey calls the private victory. It includes Habit 1, Habit 2, and Habit 3. These habits help you move from dependence to independence. From blaming others to taking charge of your life. Habit 1, be proactive. Life throws problems at you. You get stuck in traffic. Plans change. A project fails. Now ask yourself. Do you react with anger and blame, or do you pause and choose your response? Being proactive means you are not a victim. You are not controlled by your circumstances. You have the power to choose your reaction. Real life example. Your friend cancels plans at the last minute. A reactive person gets upset and takes it personally. A proactive person understands, maybe they are tired. So they reschedule and move on. Proactive people focus on what they can control. Covey calls this the circle of influence. You cannot control the weather. But you can carry an umbrella. That is what Habit 1 is about. Taking ownership of your actions, your mood, your energy. You are the driver of your life. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind. You want at your funeral. Do you want them to say you were always busy, or do you want to be remembered as someone who was kind, honest, and brave? This habit is about starting with a clear picture of your destination. Real life example. A 20-year-old wants to be a YouTuber. Instead of posting random videos, they ask themselves, what kind of creator do I want to be known as? They now have purpose and direction. This habit helps you set goals that match your values. Because success without meaning is empty. Many people spend their lives climbing the ladder of success. Only to realize the ladder was leaning on the wrong wall. Habit 2 teaches you to define your personal mission. A mission statement is like a compass. It helps you make decisions that match your true values. When you know your purpose,
цветочек в утренней росе цветок, соловья запев, свисточек, сок, березовый глоток. Тишины послушать вою, а тропинки в лес густой, поболтать с березкой вдоволь про него и про любовь. Мамушка земля, говорят березовика, для меня свет.
says, I deserve more. The other says, I work harder. A win-lose mindset creates tension. But a win-win mindset says, now that's fine and
Полилась цветов и ночек в утренней росе цветов. Соловья запев, свисточек, сок, березовый глоток. Тишины послушать волю, а тропинки в лес густой. А болтать с березкой вдоволь про него и про любовь. Матушка земля, белая березовика, для меня святая Русь, для других заносика. Матушка земля, белая березовика, для меня святая Русь, для других заносика. Так мне еще годочка кукушки поспрашать, про любовь свою девичью на ромашке погадать. Красивой воды студеной, соток свежего ветку, в чистом поле темной ночью в небе звездном утону. Матушка земля, белая березовика, для меня святая Русь, для других заносика. Матушка земля, белая березовика, для меня святая Русь, для других заносика.
you welcome them. That completes part 3, the public victory. You now have the tools to lead yourself and work powerfully with others. Part 4, renewal, habit 7, sharpen the saw. Simple. Learn to forgive. You cannot be effective if you are carrying stress, anger, or loneliness. Strong relationships are fuel for growth. Fourth is the spiritual dimension. This does not mean religion. It means connect your deeper purpose. You can do this by meditating, journaling, spending time in nature, or thinking about your values. It is about staying grounded in what really matters.
Na festa do fim de semana, só o emo. Ela chega e desencana com passo bem forte.
All very sublime. Take care of your body, your heart, and your spirit. Just follow the rules of the and then you will find the happiness in the big small things.
Na festa do fim de semana, só o emo. Ela chega e desencana com passo bem solto. Na festa do fim de semana, só o emo. Ela chega e desencana com passo bem solto. Na festa do fim de semana, só o emo. Ela chega e desencana com passo bem solto. Na festa do fim de semana, só o emo. Ela chega e desencana com passo bem solto. Na festa do fim de semana, só o emo. Ela chega e desencana com passo bem solto. Na festa do fim de semana, só o emo. Ela chega e desencana com passo bem solto.
By showing up in small ways every single day. James Clear shows that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. In this video, we'll walk through the key ideas of it using simple examples, daily life stories, and step-by-step explanations. Whether you want to start exercising, read more, wake up earlier, or just become more consistent, this summary will give you a roadmap you can actually use. And the best part? You don't need to overhaul your life. You just need to start small. Stay consistent. And let time do its magic. Let's get started. Part 1: The Power of Tiny Habits. Let's start with a question. What if getting 1% better every day could change your life completely? That's the big idea behind Atomic Habits, that small improvements, done consistently, lead to massive results over time. James Clear calls it the power of compounding, not just for money, but for your habits, your mindset, your health, your relationships, everything. Tiny changes equals big results. We often think change has to be dramatic. Lose 10 kilos in a month. Write a book in 30 days. Quit social media forever. But that's exactly why who had a simple strategy. The aggregation. outcomes. I want to lose 10 kilos. I want to earn more money. I want to be productive. But if your systems, your daily habits don't match that goal, it won't work. Example. Your goal is to run a marathon. But your system is lying on the couch every evening eating snacks. No matter how motivated you are, the system wins. Clear says it clearly.
Mala fama, se la pasan diciendo que soy mala, porque no me aguanto la morena.